I'm very honored to join this conference. Last night, I really touched the audience response to experience the Pansori performance. It was deeply, gave me some deep impression. 춘향전, my title is Multitextuality of 춘향전 and Cultural Empowerment of the Unknown Public. The recently Korean society experienced the cultural empowerment of the public intellect and the collective emotion through a candlelight rally at Gangwon. Do you know? I think you thought it through the news. Gangwon Square demonstrating their communicative and negotiating capacity with the government, power broker, and the nation. The appearance of the public intellectual force is not a phenomenon of the 21st century alone, but stems from a democratic manifestation originating in Korean traditional culture of public potentialities. This presentation focuses on the cultural productivity and cultural empowerment of the unknown public. Unknown public means the vernacular, unrefined masses. By investigating in the narrative structure of 춘향전, how the public collected, enforced, and enjoyed the cultural competence while realizing cultural integration, and also how they repositioned the genre of fiction, non-mainstream and subculture genre at the time, as a publicly integrated and magnanimous genre. This presentation aimed to illustrate the cultural empowerment of the unknown public during the Joseon period during an analysis of multi-textuality of 춘향전, a representative Korean classical text. Who is the unknown public? I thought they're using an unknown as a script, and they are commoner, and they share the public sentiment, and they exist as a collectiveness. It included the lower classes and women. This is 남원고사, the manuscript version of the 춘향전 circulating in 19th century Seoul. I translated old 남원고사 into contemporary Korean. I published as a book for Korean contemporary readers. There are many versions of the 춘향전 during early modern period as a printed version, and 2 posters are film version of 춘향전. I just explained the Joseon script system. There are dual script system. One is 한문 and the other is 어문. Chinese character is a formal letter. They use the 양반 and noble class. Male elite is a formal letter. On the other hand, 어문, the Korean vernacular, we call it Hangul in Korea, use the commoner, ordinary people, lower classes, female. The main text written in 어문 is a 이야기책, as a noble class, noble, but it was the subculture. Many upper classes criticized the noble, old fiction because it is very fantastic, not realistic stories. But many intelligent class also love to reading the novel old stories. They call it 이야기책, a storybook. This is the 판소리. 판소리계 소설. 춘향전 is a version of the 판소리계 소설. We experienced it yesterday before, so I passed the explanation. The multitextuality we should understand of 춘향전's characteristic explained on the following 5 levels. First, there are lots of cited texts are included, and it reflected locality in dimension of Joseon and China. And it was represent many status, genders, and generations, and it included lots of huge amount of informativity. And it is only script as a 어문, we call it 한글. First, the structure of the text contains several genres of historical literature. Let me see the yellow color connected with the noble class, and pink and red represent the commoners and women, green and blue color mixed. The structure of the text contains several genres of the historical literature, poems written in 한문, poems for passing the state examination, 과거 시험, letters of appeal, 탄원서, policy writing, 책문, written prayers, 기도문, funeral orations, 제문, epitaph, 묘지문, record on demeanor, recorded 행장 in Korea, letters, 편지, last wills, 유서, 시조, a classical Korean free version poem, and 잡가, popular songs of the Joseon period, 소설책, old fiction, historical anecdote, scriptures, 서당, a Joseon village school, textbooks, lesson for women, cultural knowledge and information, proverbs. The Runo cited the 티끌모아 대산 is sort of a proverb. Information on the custom of folk belief, popular expressions, rumors, and legends. Some examples I can explain, I introduce. The 춘명곡 is a song of spring languor. A song, the 왈자 is a man of leisure. Sing to comfort 춘향 while she is in prison is one of the 12 famous 가사 that were much in vogue in Seoul at the time. Including 춘명곡, several popular 가사 lyrics were inserted in 남원고사, a version of 춘향전, such as 처사가, 처사 means hermit. 처사가 is the song of a hermit, and 어부사 means the song of a fisherman, scenes in which the characters sing. Readers could thus appreciate contemporary popular songs by reading fiction. Additionally, the first paragraph of the 남원고사 summarized at some length of the story of 구운몽. 남원고사 is a fiction, but also reading fiction. Many versions of the fiction included the text. This is the 구운몽, 17th century novel. This is 숙향전, also 17th century novel. This is the 수호전, the Chinese classic. This is 서유기, also Chinese novel. 남원고사 inserted such Korean and Chinese fictions within the text. So the reader can enjoy 춘향전 and understand the Chinese and Korean old fictions also. So it very plenty of informativity it have. In a dialogue between Mr. Wi, 이도령, and his servant 방자, the name of Lady Sukyang comes up. Lady Sukyang is a main character of the 숙향전. She is the heroine of 숙향전, a 17th century tale written in 언문 also. This form of citation stems from a writing convention of the elite literati. Traditionally, when the literati would posit an opinion, their references scriptures or quoted a phrase or a sentence from the classical canon, such as historical text or famous literary text, to support their ideas. This conventional academic writing style influenced the writer of the subculture genre of 언문 or vernacular fiction. In the scene in which the 왈자 visits 춘향 in prison, one of them reads aloud passages from the well-known Chinese stories Water Machine, Su Shi Zhuan, and Journey to the West, 시유지, 수호지. The readers of 춘향전 thus also enjoys access to popular fiction from China Tang Dynasty while reading the story of 춘향. 춘향전 introduced the official written genre of the public document used for communication between the people and the government official, and demonstrated the administrative writing skill and procedures necessary to successfully execute a petition. We call it 원정. 원정 means the petition. The process and the detailed content of 춘향's petition were incorporated into the narrative as a part of the petition scene. In the sample of the petition, this is the title, this is the content of the petition, and this is the 제사, the direction and judgment from the government official, and 다짐, the petitioner agree their opinion, they follow the 제사, even if they lose the suit. So confession and the signature. Beside the page, they shoot the signature. 남원구서 narrated a detailed process surrounding 원정 petition, from Chunyang writing a petition to official recording the 제사 and imprinting the government stamp to Chunyang writing a 다짐 and affixing her signature. This scene culturally and educationally impacted the lives of the commoners and women. When they needed to communicate with the government, they could mimic this narrated process as an example. Thus, the reader of 춘향전 learned the method of official communication and mediation between the people and government officials. And 춘향전 contains many proverbs and pithy remarks that convey empirical knowledge, wisdom, lessons, and morals. As seen above, the dialogue between 춘향 and 방자 include two proverbs. For example, bad news travels fast, even double left incense spread quickly. Proverbs integrate people's action, empirical truth, and common sense. Through these proverbs, the reader can understand the contemporary commoners' typical attitude, conventional ideas, and common-sensical assumptions. When Bangja talked to Mr. Ri, she uses sophisticated and high-level language. But with Chunyang, he uses slang and proverb reservedly. Bangja's style of speech reveals the complex, multi-layered knowledge internalized by the commoners at the time. This reflects the view of humanity that quality and depth of knowledge does not correspond directly to hierarchical status. As indicated by its eponymous title, yet embedded within the text, one discovers a variety of skillfully penned public and private writing from the noble class, as well as songs, legends, and slangs and proverbs of the lower class. This multiplicity of the text within a text is a feature commonly shared with other vernacular novels of Joseon. This suggests that the genre of fiction played a role in helping commoners learn about the media of the educated upper class. The tendency toward multitextuality is even stronger in the case of 판소리계 소설. So I think the 춘향전 is a literary medium that facilitates an understanding among lower class and audience of various official documents that the educated class took for granted. And in terms of locality, the 춘향전 contains much literary, historical, and cultural information about Joseon as a home region and about China as a broader world. The first example, the Bangja's response to his master's question about where the famous attraction of Namwon can be found. When Bangja introduced the famous attraction of Joseon in China, readers would likely be impressed that a lowly servant would have such a broad knowledge of geography and tourist information. The discovery of location mentioned would pique their interest, and through Bangja, they could enjoy the text as through reading a tour guidebook or travel magazine. The second example takes place when the Chunyang offers tobacco to Mr. Ri in her room. Tobacco enjoyed high popularity in Joseon, and Chunyang has gathered a number of famous luxury tobacco brands in her box. Through Chunyang, describing her small pipe of Japanese bamboo that was made in the port of Busan, the writer is able to condense local information about Japan and Joseon through broad and detailed knowledge of objection, trend, and culture. The third example are the depicted drinking table for Mr. Ri, Idoryong. The liquor bottle present consists of numerous famous high caviar drinks from Joseon and China. The text of 춘향전 integrates multi-faceted information from Joseon and East Asia, facilitating reader experience through classical culture, canonical knowledge, and haute contemporary culture and international trends. From the perspective of status and gender, the story present multi-layered slices of daily life, including the culture and knowledge of the upper class and the experiential knowledge, living culture, and emotions of the lower class, all of which spans across genders and generations. Let me see the reading scene. The Sunbi culture It is very famous picture drawn by Kim Hong-do. He is a very famous painting genre. Through the scene that depicts Mr. Wee reading a book, readers of 춘향전 learn what Joseon literati 선비 do at their local 서당 or village school, such as which book they read and how they study. In this scene, contemporary must read like 천자문, this is 천자문, and this is 통감, Chinese history, this is 춘추, and this is 동몽선습. 동몽선습 is a 조선 textbook. A basic learning for children are listed. Some of these books, for example, 천자문 and 사략 and 동몽선습, present their first sentence in the text through Mr. Wee reading them aloud. These books, through they contain a basic purview of upper class culture, were also widely known to the commoners. Through 춘향전, aristocratic knowledge of culture could be shared with the other classes as common sense or borderless knowledge. Second, let me see, the entertainment scene is a gambling scene. A scene which in the Wal자, gambling, Wal자 is a man of leisure, gamble offers a glimpse into the practical entertainment culture of commoners. Considering the text of the scene, the game in question is most likely to be a 투전. This is a 투전, and this is a picture about 투전. The painter is Kim Duk-shin, very famous Joseon painter. We can see who is the winning, who is the losing, the face expression. And this is another version of the 투전. This picture painter is the Kim Yang-gi. Kim Yang-gi is the son of Kim Hong-do. Kim Hong-do is very representative 풍속화 화가 조선. This is about the 투전. And it's about the 쌍욕. This is the 쌍욕, the gambling. This is also the 쌍욕도. The painter is 신윤복. 신윤복 and Kim Hong-do is famous representative 조선 풍속 화가. But the style is very different. 신윤복 is very modernist. He loves pink and blue color. It is very hot, trendy color in Joseon. So the face is very V line. But Kim Hong-do drew a human face as a round. It's a very difficult color, but they deal with the gambling scene. Also included in the 춘향전, many walja play gambling, 투전 and 쌍욕 in front of the 춘향. She is imprisoned, but they enjoy pleasure, their own enjoyment, entertainment. And next, let me see the dialogue style. This is 방자 and 춘향. They communicate. When they communicate, they curse each other, use slangs, and carefree speech because they are lower classes. But this is 이도령. He is very intelligent and sophisticated. So when even he is alone, he laments something. He quotes the Red Cliff by Sushi. Very, very intelligent. So depending on the status, their dialogue style is very different. In terms of the information, when the public read 춘향전, they understand the encyclopedic natural history therein and enjoyed this as they would an informative magazine. The public could learn about the culture and knowledge of the upper class from the text, and 양반 could emphasize with the public sentiment and the emotion of the commoner. The narration of the list 춘향전 offers insight into the cultural interest of the contemporary audience. The item listed ranged widely from necessities like food, clothing, and shelter to medical sources, academic knowledge, and folk religion. The fashion trend of the young generation are reflected in the description of the elegant attire of 춘향 and 이도령. There is a scene in which 춘향 listed a number of sutras. After her farewell with Mr. 이도령, she thinks, if I pray peacefully to repel my solitude and anxiety after saying goodbye, my love, might I avoid disaster? She chants various sutras and invites a shaman to perform an exorcism. She is very famous Korean 무당 shaman, Kim Kum-ha. And this is a various version of the sutra. This is in portrayed behavior typical of commoners when faced with trouble. Next. Although the written script of 춘향전 is composed solely of 언문, that is Hangul, the story extensively references 한문 text familiar to the elite literati. By using 언문 exclusively, 춘향전 demonstrates the cultural capacity of 언문 literature. I make some table on the list of the Chinese and Joseon text. The title of Chinese and Joseon literary text, historical books, Confucian scriptures, and textbook used in school for the nobility, 서당, that are cited in 남원고사. The original letter used in all these texts is 한문, or Chinese character. The selection cited in 춘향전 comprise words, phrases, sentences, stanzas, or paragraphs from the original works, which are listed in the column title. I show you the column title. The first fact that 남원고사 was written in 언문 begs the question of whether it was possible for contemporary reader to understand the meaning of the cited text, which although script using Chinese character in source material are here written in 언문 like the rest of the text. What is the purpose of quoting this large quantity of content from the 한문 sources, if only to rewrite them in 언문? I suggest the following reasons. The inserted texts are Chinese and Joseon classics, well known among Joseon literati. Every Joseon elite was schooled in this text of Chinese and Joseon classical literature, historical writings, and Confucian scriptures. Most of the selected texts belong to famous collections of canonical classes, familiar to the upper class and famous enough to be of interest of the middle and the lower classes. Commoners, women, and the lower classes rarely had the opportunity to learn about this text. If so desired, they could fill such cultural and educational gaps through the reading of the old fiction, which acted in part as transformed or rewritten vehicle of upper class knowledge, college, and sophistication. Older women and members of the lower class might catch a glimpse of elite culture through the insertion of the 한문 text in vernacular fiction. There was a complication. The questions, originally written using Chinese characters, were imported by merely replacing the written characters with the sound they made in 언문, rather than translating the meaning of in the writing into vernacular as well. It would be nearly impossible for readers unschooled in the manner of classical writing to understand this insertion in the text by sound alone. The inserted text transliterated into 언문 could rather perhaps play the role of the vehicle or starting point through which the reader might draw nearer to elite culture and knowledge. Fictionalized text seems to fill the cultural function of readers enjoying the lifestyle of nobility, albeit in a literary way. In a negative sense, such psychological desire could be criticized as intellectual vanity. Yet, this mentality succeeds when the role of fiction is accepted as linking social strata differentiated by status, gender, wealth, age, and education. A similar phenomenon exists today in the sense of music. People from many regions of the world are culturally linked by their enjoyment of music from other countries, listening to and sometimes singing along with songs in language they do not understand. The K-pop all around the world, many people like the K-pop, and also Korean enjoy the English pop song without understanding their meaning. It's possible. The interest Joseon commoner look in high culture is supported by the interest of Joseon commoners took in high culture is supported by their practice of creating a vehicle to connect with elite culture by inserting classical text into 언문 fiction like 춘향전. Judging from this argument, it can hardly be mentioned that noble class alone enjoyed cultural knowledge or sophisticated lifestyle. From the perspective of practical living, this is an undeniable fact, but from the angle of the imagined reality of a cultural appreciation, commoners, women, and the lower class could also take part in the enjoyment of high culture. Although the upper class commanded political and cultural power, they did not have a corner on knowledge or refined culture. And next, although Joseon society supported a strict hierarchy that comes with severe discrimination, the text of Chunhyangjeon does not reveal this hierarchical rank in terms of characters' knowledge, experience, attitude, psychology, emotions, or even speech. Instead, the characters are treated as equal in their knowledge and personalities. Portraying characters with multi-layered cultural potentialities who are integrated regardless of status disclosures a paradox of the stratified society in which the tale was written. Firstly, I explained the paradox of the status society. Chunhyang's mother scolded Bangja and sneered and swear at him at first. As soon as she noticed his master Idoryong, she began to speak politely and quote refined and elegant Hanmun phrases. Bangja uses high cultural language when he talks with his master Idoryong, but he usually uses slang, proverb, and verbal language unreservedly when speaking to Chunhyang. He looks down on Chunhyang as a daughter of a lowly Kiseng. Chunhyang demonstrates command of intelligent language when she communicated with Idoryong by citing Confucian text and famous Chinese poem, as well as fluently referencing Chinese historical anecdote and Confucian idioms like a graceful lady of the noble class when she appeals to the provincial governor Byeondusa. Her social status belongs to the low level of Kiseng, but her cultural acumen is never short of high culture. And let me see the paradox of the elite culture. When the characters of Chunhyangjeon, whether lower class like Chunhyang and her mother, Wolme, or noble like Idoryong's father, faced in trouble in their everyday life, they depend on folk religion such as reading sutras and inviting a shaman, mudang, to perform an exorcism. Good was criticized harshly during the Joseon era by the elite literati. However, Chunhyangjeon shows that not only ignorant commoners, but also highbrow aristocracy depended on good when challenges aroused. This is the grave. When Joseon Yangban class bury their ancestors' corpse, it is very important to hire the Feng Shui, Feng Shu, the geomancy, but it was included the folk religion, so super 표면적으로 surfacely it was very expelled, but in reality they depend on deeply such a Feng Shui. And this is, we call it in Korean, 치성. When people travel something, they pray for heaven with a very clean water. But it is very ironical. All the Korean old novels, the characters faced some trouble. They pray for something to the heaven. They 100% rewarded from the heaven. But it was conditioned. They should doing something goodness. But it was included folk religion. It was harshly criticized, but in reality level, all the people support this sentimental structure. Until now, we call it the K-drama, we call it 막장 drama. The narrative structure is very the same, similar. It's a scene of the good performance. In the radically subversive, the 남원고사 and parting with Chunhyang, he never sent her. Although Chunhyang was written in Onmun, it reflected the high culture, sophistication, and elite lifestyles and customs, and not only the taste, sensibilities, and culture of the commoners and the woman. Intriguingly, the character shown to abide by her morals in Chunhyangjeon a 기생, and not a member of the noble class. To the contrary, characters of elite 양반 status are seen breaking their faith or showing immoral attitude. Mr. Lee, 이도령, demonstrated apathy. After he leaving Namwon and parting with Chunhyang, he never sent her a letter. Chunhyang's mother and other 기생, minor officials, and town farmers harshly criticized him, declaring, "He is an ambitious, cold-minded person. He is a bad seed who betrayed his love, Chunhyang." Chunhyang, a representative character of the lower class, observed the law and morality as a way of keeping her chastity against the abuse of political power, while Governor Byun of the noble class is characterized as a typical corrupt official. It is radically subversive that in the narrative, the character who convoyed moral rectitude is a 기생, a person of low position in the hierarchical society. This reveals the rank of status does not correspond to degree of moderation. In sum, the multitextuality of 춘향전 testifies to the cultural empowerment of its contemporary unknown public. Inside the text, status, gender, society, and the world exist harmoniously rather than hierarchically, and although they may at times struggle and clash with one another, they experience empathy and communicate with humor. This strategy writing system attests to the enjoyment and empowerment of the unknown public by locating vernacular fiction within both the literature of the secular culture, popular culture, and the literature of the male literature, the classical canon. This is the 남원 광활로. Thank you for hearing my talk.